Hey guys, how's it going? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day and a great morning. This will be our last video, hopefully, so we'll see, hopefully, if I get to see you guys tomorrow. But that's beside the point. Today we're going to be looking at 2.3.d, which is dividing integers. All right, this is going to be very similar to what we talked about yesterday with multiplying integers. We'll follow almost the exact same rules. All right, so that's the first note I'm going to ask you to write is this. Please make sure you note that with dividing integers, you can follow the, I don't know, let's go with negative slash positive. So negative and positive rules for multiplication. All right, so when we're talking about division, there's not anything different with the rules. It's the exact same rules as it was with multiplication. It's just dividing this time. So you're doing a different operation, but the way that the negatives and positives works is exactly the same. So if we think about it just like we did yesterday, think about that little chart. We have the positive and the negative, and then you have a positive and a negative. Same deal here with division. A positive divided by a positive will leave you with a positive number. A positive divided by a negative will leave you with a negative number. A negative divided by a positive will leave you with a negative number. And two negative numbers divided together will give you a positive number. All right, so always keep this kind of like in the back of your head as you are thinking and working with these. It really doesn't make a difference in comparison to multiplication. It's just that you're doing a little bit different of an operation. So let's look at an example of this. You might see something like this. Let's say that you're given a problem that asks you to do 12 divided by, and then it gives you negative 4. Just like before, we're going to pretend that there aren't any negatives. We're going to do 12 divided by 4, and then we'll deal with our negatives later. 12 divided by 4 is obviously going to be 3. You know that right away because 4 goes into 12 3 times. 12 divided by 3, or by 4, is 3. And then we reference back and look for our negatives. So we had a positive 12 here and a negative 4. Our first number was positive, and our second number is negative, which means that we're going to be right there in this box, which means our final answer is going to be negative. So 12 divided by negative 4 is, in fact, negative 3. All right. That's kind of what we are looking at here. Let's try one more, a little bit complicated of one to see how we do with this. Let's say that you were given negative 18 divided by negative 2. Negative 18 divided by negative 2. All right, so once again, we're just going to think about this as 18 divided by 2. Which is going to make us able to understand this really easily. 18 divided by 2 is obviously going to be 9 to start with. And then we look at the negatives. Our first number was negative, and our second number was negative. And just like with multiplication, if both numbers are negative, our answer is going to be positive. So we'll be left with a positive 9. All right? So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you. It's not any different than multiplication. It's just the fact that we have a different operation this time. Not any different in terms of the negatives, but a different operation. Now next, this is what we're going to look at. We're going to look at some longer math sentences and see how we can apply these to a couple of longer math sentences. Dun dun dun. Now the thing to remember is that unlike multiplication, division matters with order. So division matters with order, unlike multiplication. Where multiplication, we could do any of the multiplication in any order. We have to go left to right when we're doing division in order for us to get the right answer. All right, and we can apply even some of our addition properties here. So we can look at a problem that looks like this. Let's say that you have negative 3 times 2 minus negative 8 plus negative 2 divided by 4. Right? Now we have this incredibly long math sentence, but in reality it doesn't make it any more complicated than it was before. Remember that with PEMDAS, the first thing we do is parentheses, we have exponents, we have multiplication, we have division, we have addition, and we have subtraction. No on the parentheses and no on the exponents, but we are going to have to do our multiplication and division first. So first to multiply, we have negative 3 times 2. We think about 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we need to figure out our negatives. We have one negative here and a positive here, which means this is going to be a negative 6. We still have minus negative 8. And then we'll do our other multiplication or other division here. We have a negative 2 divided by 4. All right, so we're going to think about that as just 2 divided by 4. You have two things, you need to split them up between 4 people. You're going to end up with a final answer of 1/2 or 0.5. Now we go back and we look. We have a negative here and a positive there. If we have one negative and one positive, we're going to have a negative 12. So now our problem looks like negative 6 minus negative 8 plus negative 12. Now we need to move on to addition and subtraction. Remember that I said the best policy is to take any of this subtraction and just make it into addition of a negative. So we're going to take negative 6. We're going to make this addition, and then rather than having a negative 8, because we got rid of this subtraction here, the subtraction is going to go over here and give us a negative 8 plus negative 12. And if we have a negative 8, that's the same as just saying regular 8, because two negatives make a positive. We have negative 6 plus 8 plus negative 1/2. If we keep on doing our math, negative 6 plus 8, so we're 6 in the hole, we need to build an 8-foot tower. We're going to end up with 2 feet of above ground area. We have 2 plus negative 1/2. We're at 2 feet and we need to dig a 1/2-foot hole. We're going to end up with a 1.5 total in the positive. All right, so even if it is a longer math sentence, that shouldn't bug you anymore, because all it means is you just need to be precise and take your time as you go through. All right, I got one last note for us here. One last note. Please remember that when we are dealing with division, when dealing with division, in division, you're going to need to do, in division, do the top first. All right, so if you're given one of those big problems that looks something like this, if you have a big problem that looks something like this, let's go with, let's not put one of those. 3 times negative 2 plus 8 squared all over 6. Remember that in order to do this problem, you need to think about this as if there were giant parentheses up here telling you to do that top first, because you can't divide that all by 6 until you get through dealing with this top part. All right, so if you're going to do a problem like that, you would deal with the top first and then divide by 6. So we would do 3 times negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is going to be the same as negative 6. And then we're going to do 8 squared. 8 squared is 64. We have negative 6 plus 64 over 6. Negative 6 plus 64, so we have a 6-foot hole, and we're building a 64-foot tower. We're going to end up with a 58-foot tower divided by 6. And we do 58 divided by 6. I'm just going to reduce these down instead. So we get 28 over 3. And that's as simplified as that can get. We can't do anything with that. So that's what you would be looking at with that one. All right, but the key part is to remember this up here. All right, always do the top first if you have just all of it divided by something. All right, guys, good luck as you go today. Let me know if you have any questions.